ready for your host? Here she goes.
Welcome to Diary of a Botox Bitch podcast.
Oh man, can't get enough of your voice. Keep on talking.
Hi, welcome to Diary of a Botox Bitch. I am just after doing an interview with 96 FM in Cork. Sweetest thing ever happened. I always talk about my fondness for West Cork and how much I love like Billy O'Sullivan's pub, and we were talking all about the book, my book Diary of a Botox Bitch, and how salacious it is. I love that word. Everyone's using it now. And then they went to a commercial break, so I was on the line, and then I came back, and you know what they did? They did the cutest thing. They actually put Linda from Billy O'Sullivan's on the phone to me, and they're going to send me a care package, including a toasted sandwich and Barry's tea bags, and oh my God, like it was, like I'm a bit of a tough old bird, but it was like I was just so caught off guard by the kindness of it and just the thoughtfulness of it. That 96 FM, PJ Coogan they just did all of that, and then they put them on, and I just was like happy tears, but like I'm actually a little bit choked because it was just the kindest thing that they ever did. And then I rang Linda and made sure I gave my address, that I get my care package and I get my toasted ham and cheese sandwich from Billy O'Sullivan's. And it's funny because we're starting all the interviews and everything for my book Diary of a Botox Bitch, and I wanted my first press to be in Cork because I'm the great grandniece of Michael Collins, and all my summers were spent in West Cork. And it's funny, I don't really get that homesick necessarily for the big city, but like a certain day when the weather's nice, I would do anything to be in Billy O'Sullivan's pub having a toasted ham and cheese sandwich, or the Billy O'Sullivan special. They asked which I wanted. I said, "Jeepers, don't be doing that to me because I'm like Gemini. I can't make any decisions." So, and then I rang Linda and was just like, I was crying on the phone, like, you know. She was like, "Don't cry, pet." And I was like, "No, they're happy tears." But it was the kindest thing. The humanity of Irish people is just like, sometimes when you're in LA, it's a tough old city. Like I'm working every night of the week that I can in stand-up comedy, and I'm up and down the 405, and you're working like a dog and you earn your stripes. And I've been doing this for like nearly 6 years, but it's like, and it'll pay off next year. I'll bring Diary of a Botox Bitch, the one woman show, back to Ireland. It's almost written, and you work out all your bits and stuff, but like, and you're going hard at it all the time, and you're just non-stop, and then something like that happens where they just put someone on from Billy O'Sullivan's, from where I spent all my summers, and they said they're going to send me a toasted ham and cheese sandwich. They've said they've sent it as far as Vietnam in the past, so she's going to vacuum pack it. Linda was so sweet. And when I rang her, then I just got off the phone. I rang Billy O'Sullivan's. I have the number on my phone from like all my summers, and I rang and I said, I just was so choked up, and I was like crying on the phone. She goes, "Don't cry, pet." And I said, "It's not, it's tears of happiness." But you know, when you're toughest, and you have to be tough in LA, you have to be tough here. I tell you, the kindness is mistaken for weakness, so you have to be tough here. But that kindness and the thoughtfulness of 96 FM, thanks to all the team, like Fergal, PJ, like everybody. I think Paul as well put it on the call. He's an awful desperate sore throat, so get better soon, Paul. But just the kindness and thoughtfulness of that, like it just was too much. Like I just got off the radio interview and I was bawling, crying. By the way, you can probably see, look, it's funny. I need to put cover up on this. It's been a long day and I've been recording podcasts, but I actually had skin cancer here and skin cancer here. I don't care. Like it's like whatever. I didn't realize I was making a cup of tea, and this is like the 4th podcast we've recorded today, so sorry about that. Now I have a big scar there from skin cancer. Well, anyway, what are you going to do about it? You're going to wear your scars. Speaking of scars, chapter 23, the first few chapters, I'm talking all about everything, and I'm not doing these podcasts in any particular order because the book is available. It's actually number 1 on Amazon.com for new releases, and so I'm not doing it in any particular order, but I feel like we should record this episode. Chapter 23 is called Lots of Tequilas, Lottie Tequiri. Yeah. It seemed like a whole lotty fun, and then it seemed like a whole lotty trouble, and then it was a whole lotty drama, to be honest with you. But I had to address it in the book. It happened like it was 9-10 years ago, and I admit I caught a couple of feelings. Like it went on for 4 or 5 weeks, so who wouldn't? A girl certainly, I know for sure, we're not as detached as men. But caught a couple of feelings for sure. I'm not embarrassed to say it. Who knows? You could be with someone for a year and not with them, but you could have someone keen on you for a year and you just don't feel anything, and then you meet someone and I think he was just so tall and mysterious looking. And then the other thing as well is, I just said on the interview to Cork, I said it was his totem pole, but he had a totem pole tattoo on his shoulder, And I'm after just saying on live radio it was the totem pole, but it's later, it's like 3 in the morning. So I'm in the totem pole tattoo. So now everyone's in fits of giggles. It was ridiculous. But there's a couple of chapters, and I don't know where to start, but I should probably start at chapter 23, Lots of Tequilas. And I said it was my first night out in Dublin since returning from Celebrity Big Brother. I'd been home for a few days after the final, still licking my wounds. Like, I was upset about Celebrity Big. I got nominated by that Sophie Anderton because I'd given her free Botox. She'd signed a media waiver. We had done a write-up about it. And then she gets put into Celebrity Cult and then nominates me. Like, why? And then obviously it was a vote to save. And this circles back to The Jungle recently, where in The Jungle, the Irish people, all Barry McGuigan and Maura, got, because it was like no one in Ireland can vote. And so when it came to my eviction, it was me, Vicky Entwistle, and some other lad, some football pundit, and Ron Atkinson. And it was a vote to save. So it was a vote to evict. I would have been perfectly safe because I hadn't made an impression and no one knew either way, but it was a vote to save. And again, I hadn't made an impression, so nobody voted to save me. So like my fate was kind of sealed. So I was kind of like, I came home and I was like leg between the tails. I was like, really? Like, why pay that much money? Why have me pack my bags and leave everything just to have it go down that way? Like, I felt like, and also when I got evicted, I was sure I was going to be brought into a secret room and it was just a pretend eviction. Like, the whole thing made no sense to me. And yet they'll always take the Irish viewers and the Irish viewer money, but they don't give the Irish people a chance to vote. And in my case, I was up for eviction because that stupid Sophie lady nominated me. And then it wasn't a vote to evict, it was a vote to save. And again, no one knew me. So like in England, and anyway, so the same thing happens to Celebrity Big Brother. It's a joke. Like, they need to give Irish people the vote. So anyway, I was back and I was still licking my wounds. Life felt strange. I'd gone from the intensity of the house to the quiet of my home, and I wasn't sure how to process it all. I'm just reading from chapter 23, Lots of Tequilas, Lots of Tequila. On a lazy Sunday afternoon, I decided to meet my friend James for brunch and shake off the lingering post-reality TV funk. We were seated in a cosy spot, chatting about everything and nothing, when I noticed a blonde lady sitting across the restaurant. She kept glancing over at us. I think we were in the Dillon Hotel, actually. Her curiosity palpable. I wasn't in the mood for attention. I was still decompressing from being in the public eye, but as fate would have it, James struck up a conversation with her while I went to the bathroom. When I returned, the two of them were deep in discussion. I assumed she was just another woman drawn to James. He was a model and a fitness guru, and people tended to gravitate towards him. But I sat back down. I realised there was more to her. She introduced herself, explaining that she was in Ireland for filming The Vikings, a Canadian TV series. Now, this was before The Vikings became popular, and it was actually the lady who played Largatha. If everyone remembers that. So it was funny. Like, I didn't know who she was, and I, like, no one knew who she was. At first I thought she might be an extra, someone lingering around the sets hoping for a break, but no, she was the lead actress in what would become a global hit. The show hadn't aired in Ireland yet, so I had no clue who she was. She was sharp, creative energy, and I couldn't help but admire her confidence. Between takes on set, she was already selling TV formats online. This woman was a powerhouse. James had to leave shortly after, but she and I kept talking. We clicked instantly, bonded over our shared love of television and storytelling. Over the next few weeks, we met up several times, brainstorming ideas. It was Catherine Winnock, and discussing future projects. It turns out now she actually lives in Venice, very near where I live. But anyway, as our time in Ireland drew to a close, we decided to go out for a proper girly dinner to celebrate and send her off in a good way. We booked a table at a restaurant in Dawson Street, and when we arrived, I was taken aback by the reception. The staff recognised and celebrated me hugely from Celebrity Big Brother, and of course I had been on Dublin Housewives, and that was a big hit as well. They made such a big fuss over us, pouring drinks and sending over tequila shots. It felt surreal. I'd barely touched alcohol since my rickshaw accident. I still get choked up thinking about that, except for a glass of wine and Celebrity Big Brother wrap party, which led to me kissing a fellow housemate. I ended up kissing Screech. Yeah, the shame of it. Anyway, in fact, I was live on Big Brother's Little Brother live shows, and he had his hand on my ass. Like, not in a creepy way, just, well, I mean, like, I don't know what way it was at all. We were friends, but anyway, that scar looks so ugly, but I should cover it up. But anyway, it is what it is. It's late at night here. It's like 3:10 a.m. and we may as well just get all these podcasts done. Anyway, it felt surreal. I'd barely touched alcohol since my rickshaw accident, except for a glass of wine at the Celebrity Big Brother wrap party, which led to me kissing a fellow housemate, Screech. Now I was on my third Pinot Grigio, tipsier than I'd been in years, and by the time the steaks arrived, I was clumsily cutting into mine, sending mushrooms flying off the plate. My new friend from Hollywood was diving into tequila shots like a pro, and I couldn't stop laughing at how high maintenance we both were about our orders. After dinner, we headed to a wrap party for the Vikings cast and crew at House. You remember House on Leeson Street? A bar and grill venue on Leeson Street in downtown Dublin. It sounded fun in theory, but the vibe felt more like work than a party. My friend wasn't enjoying herself. Catherine was like, Anyway, my friend wasn't enjoying herself, so we left after a quick round of drinks and decided to revisit our original spot. So we went back to Dawson Street, to the Dawson. By then, we were thoroughly tipsy, giggling uncontrollably about the evening. Around midnight, we ran into some old friends of mine from school, actually from the dental hospital. They suggested heading to a nightclub, and though I hadn't been to Harcourt Street in ages, I thought, why not? I was ready to cut loose after the whirlwind of the past month and being cooped up in the celebrity Big Brother house. We arrived at a packed nightclub around 1 a.m. and I quickly switched to water, realising I was tipsy enough. The club was a chaotic mess of 20-somethings, and while I appreciated the enthusiasm of the crowd, I felt overwhelmed. People kept asking for photos, and without a private members area, sorry, it's like so later, it's like 3 a.m. in the morning, I felt it was too much. My friend decided to call it a night, and I felt the urge to escape as well. After waving her off in a cab, I pulled an Irish goodbye on the rest of the group, slipping away without a word, and I walked the couple of doors down to Crystal nightclub, a place where I knew I would find a bit of space and familiarity, and I had plenty of friends who were already there. Crystal was everything the other club wasn't. It was bright, airy, and the VIP section provided some breathing room. When I arrived, everyone was in the VVIP penthouse section, and I immediately saw familiar faces, including other Irish celebrities and sports stars and lots of my friends. Everyone was so kind, congratulating me on Celebrity Big Brother and treating me like a star. It was heartwarming, especially since I'd been so worried about how people would perceive my early eviction. And again, looking back on it, it was so ridiculous. Like, I didn't stand a chance. Like, Sophie nominated me, and then they stupidly did a vote to save. Like, nobody knew me. The whole thing was just stupid. But amid the buzz of familiar faces, this is where it gets juicy, and friendly conversation, one person stood out. Across the room, I saw a man who made the entire night blur into the background. He was at least 6'4" with dreadlocks, a baseball cap, and a hoodie. He had this magnetic presence, and his eyes, kind, gentle, and unmissable, they locked into mine. They did. It was across the room. They were gee-eyed, probably. Well, I certainly was very tipsy. As I chatted with friends, I couldn't help but notice that he kept glancing my way. Normally, I'm shy in these situations. I'm actually really shy with guys, and I avoid eye contact. But with him, I couldn't look away. I found myself drawn to him, and fueled with the earlier shots of tequila, I was feeling kind of sassy, so I stared right back at him. Eventually, a mutual friend introduced us. He said his name, and it sounded something like Lottie Dalucari or Dalucu, spoken with an accent I couldn't quite place. Australian, maybe? We shook hands, and his gaze held mine with such intensity that I think I may have caught an actual feeling right there and then. Fucking shame of it. Anyway, here's the thing, it's not like I was deeply fallen, whatever, but I definitely caught a couple of feelings for sure. And there's nothing worse than having your feelings hurt and then trending in the Southern Hemisphere for 89 days in a row. That was fucking mortifying anyway. So finally, tragedy plus time, I'm talking about it. Because I never said anything about it at the time, and I just took it all in the chin, and he went back to Australia, got on with his life, and I was left with the fallout with friends, family, everything. Fucking shit show. So as I turned to rejoin my friend, the same guy motioned for me to come back. Now, normally I'd ignore such a gesture. It's presumptuous, and I've always prided myself on being immune to those kind of antics, but this was different. I walked back feeling like I had no choice in the matter. I liked his energy, I liked his vibe, and he had cool sneakers. He had very good sneakers. He's an excellent sneaker collection, I have to say. Lottie has an excellent sneaker collection. We started chatting, or rather shouting over the music, and I quickly learned he was 30 years old. The attraction was mutual, undeniable, and he had a very calm energy. After only a few minutes of conversation, he asked if I wanted to grab something to eat. Without hesitation, I said yes. We left Crystal and wandered down the street, laughing like old friends. To be honest with you, he gave me a piggyback, down that lane we did in the back, Crystal. I don't know, he was fun. At some point, I playfully stole his baseball hat and was wearing it sideways as we walked arm in arm. That's actually me trying to cover up. We weren't walking arm in arm. He was giving me a piggyback. And I think, anyway, we ended up at Zaytoon kebab shop. Listen, Dublin's iconic late night kebab shop. The food is actually really good there. Hi Zaytoon, if you're ever listening. I perched on his knee and I was eating a chicken kebab while he was listening to me chatter about nothing and everything. He was not a man of many words. As we walked back out onto Camden Street, people began approaching us, not just for photos with me, but with him as well. It was so funny. People were coming up and they were like, take a photo. And I was like, oh, this is my better side. And they were like, yeah, not you, love. Move out of the way. We want a picture with him. And I was like, I didn't know who he was. Like, and then he also didn't know who I was. And I had just done Celebrity Big Brother. And I think when I was in hiding, he had been signed to Leinster. And so he arrived after I had been shipped off in hiding. And while he was making his debut in Leinster, I was in hiding. So neither of us knew anything about the other one, even though we were both kind of in the press a lot. It was just like kind of funny, to be honest. And people were coming up and he was so sweet. Like he took about 17 photos for girls. You know the way girls take a photo and they're like, oh, I hate that angle. Take it again. And here he was like 6'4" on Camden Street outside Zaytoon, taking all these photos endlessly for these girls and being so nice and so kind. I thought, Jesus, he's a sweetheart. And then there was lads coming up asked for a photo and I was like, oh, this is my better side. And they were like, yeah, whatever, love. Will you hold the camera? Take the photo. I was like, I don't know what's going on here at all. So the whole thing was just ridiculous. So as I said, as we walked out onto Camden Street, people began approaching us, not just for photos with me, but with him as well. It quickly became clear that he was someone recognised, or people recognised, but I had no idea who he was. At one point, a group of lads asked for a photo. Assuming they meant with me, I started fixing my hair. It was me. Instead, they handed me their phone to take a picture with him. Confused, I obliged, snapping a shot of them with this mysterious man. When another group asked if we were a couple, I laughed nervously and said, don't be ridiculous. I've only just met him. But the truth was I felt an instant chemistry with this man that I couldn't explain. I even liked how he smelled. Okay, this sounds ridiculous. It actually does sound ridiculous when I'm reading it. But anyway, especially as it's like 3:30 in the morning and I've just done a load of phone interviews about the book. And I was doing stand-up comedy earlier on. And I have my pronouns are Botox bitch that I wore on stage and my merch. But I'm literally falling asleep now at this point in time. So back to the book. I even liked how he smelled. What am I doing writing a book like this? I even liked how he smelled. Okay, that sounds ridiculous. It does sound ridiculous. Later, someone finally asked, do you even know who he is? And I'm thinking, know who he is? Like, does he, like, I'm the one who's just come back from Celebrity Big Brother, like one of 3 Irish people ever to do it. So I admitted I didn't know who he was and I was feeling a bit embarrassed. The group burst out laughing and one of them joked and they were walking away and someone goes, that's so cute. He doesn't know who you are. And you don't know who he is. That's so hilarious. And I was just like, okay, whatever, Bernadette. We both laughed it off. But as we walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that meeting him was going to be a lot more fun than Celebrity Big Brother. And whoever this man was, I knew one thing for sure. My life was about to get a whole lotty more fun, which it did, to be fair. The next chapter is hilarious, but I'm going to leave that for the next podcast. The book Diary of a Botox Bitch, it is #1 on Amazon.com in new releases, which is very exciting. And I'm also, like, I had skin cancer here. It's funny, when I came away to America, I had, actually, when I did Celebrity Big Brother, I had something removed here. And I was in hiding, taking out my own fucking sutures in the mirror in a shitty 4-star hotel. It was like traumatizing. And that actually was grand. But then I've had another skin cancer here. And then this was kind of a big one last year, or maybe the year before. It was done in Cedar Sinai. It's actually a really good job. But because I'm so pale, it's not so much the scar, but the white that doesn't tan. So normally I just put a little, like if I'm running around during the day running errands, as they say in America, I always say, they always go, like, do you know the way in Ireland you go, I'm going to the supermarket, I'm going to the chemist. Here they don't say that. Everything is, we're running errands, I don't know how to say it. So if I'm running errands, I don't care, like whatever. And I don't really care generally, but maybe it's okay on the podcast to say to people, look, I had skin cancer. Like, it was terrifying. Maybe it's okay to say to people, look, I had skin cancer and put your SPF on. But again, the scar isn't really so much a scar. It's more the skin that didn't tan afterwards, if that makes sense. But I should definitely cover it up if I'm doing podcasts because it looks kind of skank. But this is my book. It is #1 in Amazon.com. It's available on Amazon.co.uk. If you're in Ireland, buy the Kindle version. It's the best value. If you're in Australia, buy the paperback. It's not the best value, but I think it's fun to have a fun copy of the paperback. It's all the salacious, the press and media from all the drama with Lottie in there, but there is definitely maybe a couple of text messages. Anyway, the next podcast will be Chapter 4, which is to Donnybrook Manor, which I think is one of the most funniest chapters in the book. And I just did an interview with Cork FM as well on the radio, and it was hilarious because I was talking about Lottie Takiri's totem pole. Like, he has a totem pole tattoo, but I was so ahead of myself in the interview that I said totem pole, and then it got very awkward. and very ridiculous, to be honest with you. And they were very gracious about it, but I had to clear up the matter of that it wasn't a totem pole, it was the totem pole tattoo. Anyway, I'm just going to shut up now because this is very fucking embarrassing and I keep looking at this scar. I hate it. I also just did a movie. I did a comedy movie and it's actually doing really, really well. It's won loads of awards. And I just also played a serial killer. So I have no nice nails on, which I hate because I also have like the most prettiest nails. So I have to get my nails done tomorrow or the next day. But we're madly busy. Just back off tour and back off filming, and now we're madly doing press and publicity for the book, so I don't know when I'll get the nails done, to be honest with you. No, nails are fabulous, they're painted beautiful white and perfect, but I had to get my glam nails off. I never have no nails, I had to get them off because I played a serial killer. That's the thing, I can either do really funny or serial killer. I can't do anything in between. So when it comes to being in something I can do, like I said, very funny, my wheelhouse is neurotic, comedy, perfect. I do loads of stand-up comedy, and then nothing dramatic. I can't play, like I did something recently, I was auditioning for a mom saving her kids in a burning building, and like everyone was laughing. I was like, I'm trying to save my kids here in a burning building. They were just like, but then I can play a serial killer and a psychopath very well. So I recently played a serial killer in a short movie, and so my nails are off and I hate them. I hate that, and I hate my scar. I should have covered it up, but we've been doing back-to-back phone interviews and everything, so I'm just going to shut up now. I'm going to cover my scar up. But again, I'm going to also own and walk in the glory that I was very lucky that I caught all these skin cancers. I have another one here. I look like Frankenstein behind my ear or whatever, but it's grand. I'm going to go cover that up, and then we'll do the next episode, which will be chapter 24, which is the really salacious one, if you ask me, and it's the funny one. So,
Are you ready for your host? Here she goes.
Welcome to Diary of a Botox Bitch podcast.
Oh man, I can't get enough of your voice. Keep on talking.